You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 27. Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life.
Hello there, and welcome to the Balanced Educator Podcast. If you're new to the show, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. And we invite you to subscribe so that you can connect with us every Monday when our new episodes come out. And guys, if you're listening every week or if you're currently binge listening to the show, welcome back. It's so fun to share some time with you guys every week. All right, so this week we are talking about the emotional scale and how to use it for yourself, and then also how to use it with the kiddos in your life. This is a tool that we really like to use, especially when we're kind of in a negative space and we're trying to get out of that negative feeling. So I think this is going to be really helpful for you guys. Now, before we dive into the episode, we want to share with you a book that we love by author and mindfulness coach Keith McPherson. It is called Making Sense of Mindfulness, and Keith does such a great job at breaking down mindfulness into easy to understand and implement principles. We really loved how applicable what Keith shares in his book is to our real lives. So if this is something that you'd like to dive deeper into, living mindfully, really integrating it into your life, then we invite you to grab a copy of this awesome book. You can find it at www.educalm.com/Keith. So that's educalme.com/Keith. All right, so let's get started. It's so fun. Joe and I are actually in the same location recording together today.
Doesn't happen often anymore.
No, normally we're at our own homes and we're recording over Skype. So it's so fun to be together and have this energy of the two of us in the same room. We just came back from walking our dogs and we're feeling good.
Yeah. Ready for this.
Yeah. So the emotional scale, what is it? So the emotional scale is something that I first heard of from Jess Lively. She is a student of Abraham Hicks. She loves to talk about the law of attraction. So I first heard it from there, and then I actually read the book, or not read, I listened to it as an audiobook, Ask and It Is Given by Abraham Hicks. So in that book, they talk about this emotional scale and how we have, it's kind of like a list of emotions that go from kind of negative feeling and low energy to upwards towards positive and high energy. Now, the reason that this was like kind of life-changing or helped me see it in a new way was to understand that when we're feeling really low, it's like not normal or natural or easy or biologically possible to just jump right up to like joy and love and awesomeness. You kind of have to do it in steps.
Okay, so can you please explain the science behind this?
Okay, yes. So we talk a lot about how our thoughts create our emotions. So you can check that out in episode 9 if you haven't listened to it yet. But what happens is that when we're having a thought, it creates these keys, these neuropeptides in our brain that match up to the thought that we're having. So if we're having a negative thought, then it's making negative keys in our mind. It goes into our body, it locks into our cells, and it makes us feel the physical emotion of whatever we were thinking. So say, for example, I am someone cut me off in traffic and I'm like, what a jerk. So I'm thinking about how upset I am at this person for cutting me off. So my brain starts making these keys that make me feel the emotion of anger. Now, I can't just shut that off immediately because my brain has already made the keys. They're already locked into my cells. They're not just going to disappear immediately. So I have to give my body kind of like this lag time where I start creating different thoughts that create different keys that lock into my cells to make me feel different. But our body, for the most part, isn't immediate. It's like when you eat food, it doesn't digest it immediately. It takes some time. It takes a few moments. It takes however long. So the emotional scale is helpful in letting us move from the negative feeling to something that feels just a little bit better, and then just a little bit better, and a little bit better. And we step our way up the scale. So, Joe, can you share with us what this scale is and kind of what the emotions are and where they sit on the scale?
Yeah. So we're going to go from like negative to positive emotions, and we're starting with fear or grief or depression or despair. So that would be kind of at the bottom. And then working our way up to the next one would be insecurity or guilt. And then the next one would be jealousy. And then hatred or rage. And as we keep going up, revenge, and then anger, and then discouragement, and blame, worry, doubt, disappointment, overwhelmment, and then frustration, irritation, impatience. As we keep going up, pessimism, boredom, and then we're going into slightly more positive, contentment, hopefulness, optimism, and then positive expectation and belief, enthusiasm, eagerness, and happiness, and then passion, and then number one, positive emotion, joy, appreciation, empowered, freedom, love.
Awesome.
And just reading these now, I'm looking at this, and there's a lot more kind of on the negative side of the scale than on the positive. Mm-hmm. It's just so interesting.
Yeah. Actually, that just made me think, we love Brooke Castillo's podcast, The Life Coach School. If you haven't listened to it before, you should. It's awesome. But she talks about her way of looking at things, which is that as humans, we have 50% negative emotion and 50% positive emotion. And that's normal. And that a lot of the pain we feel is actually about how upset we are that we are in a negative emotion. And then if we can just accept that we have about 50% of the time negative emotions, then that's just going to make us feel better in general. And like accept and have compassion for ourselves when we're feeling negative.
And I think that's why these negative emotions are so painful for us, is just because we can't accept them.
Yeah. We're like, I want to be at the top of the scale. I want to jump all the way from depression, which is low energy, like zero energy, all the way up to the highest energy, which is joy and appreciation. And that's just not how our body is built.
So what we have to do is go from the bottom and go one at a time, right? So if I'm in depression right now, then I am trying to go one up, which would be insecurity, guilt, unworthiness.
Yeah.
So how can I slowly make my way up the emotional scale?
So one strategy that I really like to use, especially when I'm in a really low place, and Joe and I were both like super positive people, but we still feel negative emotion. And it's something that, and every human does, and that's not a bad thing. It's just part of our human life.
It's the roller coaster of a life.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, step one, accept the fact that I'm not feeling great right now. That's okay. That's just life. And step two, no, I don't need to be here forever. I'll be here for a little bit, but there's a way to get out. So I like to think, what can I do right now that would make me feel 10% better? Like, what action can I take or what thoughts can I think? But usually when I'm feeling really low, it's an action. It's like,
you need to do something, add movement or
yeah, it's like,
switch it up.
yeah. Like if I don't want to get out of bed, I could maybe read in bed. And that's an action that starts making me feel a little bit more of that energy. I can start feeling like I'm rolling or moving up that emotional scale.
Yeah, because when you're in that state, you probably don't feel like popping out of bed and going to, I don't know, have a party somewhere or
like I'm not going
to for a run or whatever even. Like you don't feel like doing that.
No. And then it makes you, if you try to jump all the way to the top of the scale, it almost makes you feel worse because you're like, okay, I want to go for a run, but I don't feel like it. And then you feel bad for the
and you're
fact
like,
that
I'm not motivated. And why can't I just get out of bed and do this? And it's not possible. It doesn't work that way.
Exactly. So what can make me feel 10% better? And you can get a little bit creative with that. And you start to notice more energy coming into your body. You're moving up from that really low state to, okay, now I have a little more energy to do something that is a little more fun, that creates better feeling emotions.
Okay, so first it would be then recognizing that you're there and accepting it.
Yes.
And then choosing something that will make you feel 10% better.
Exactly.
And then once you feel 10% better, you've done the thing that makes you feel 10% better. What do you do after that?
Then once I'm there, so say I was at number 22, bottom of the scale, just there's 22 steps to make yourself all the way up to joy. And maybe you can jump up a couple of steps.
Our math is a little off. It's not actually 10% if there's 22 steps, but you know, you guys get it.
Yeah. It's more just the feeling of like, not 100% better. What will make me feel slightly better? Okay. So I'm in bed and I'm like, okay, reading will make me feel slightly better. Now, once I've read for a little bit, I'm feeling a little bit better. And I'm like, okay, from this step, what would feel a little bit better? What would feel 10% better? Okay, maybe I'm going to get out of bed and wash my face. Okay. Now I'm feeling like I'm moving. I'm feeling a little bit more energy. Okay. What's the next step?
Okay. But what if you feel like you can't get out of a certain step?
I think you just have to accept that you're there right now and know that it's not going to stay like this forever. That our emotions are always changing. Our emotions are always fluctuating. Our thoughts are changing and fluctuating. And just, I think for me, it gives me a lot of relief to know that, okay, I feel not great now, but this is only going to last a little while. And then I'll get out of it. And that compassion, that acceptance of the negative emotion actually for me makes it pass faster.
And you know what? It's okay if one day you can't get out of bed today. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens. It's part of the human experience.
And on those days, I go, okay, well, my body is telling me that it needs rest. And I'm going to lie in bed all day and I'm going to just binge on Netflix, or I'm going to read, or I'm going to like do the things that I never take time to do because I think, oh, that's like being lazy, or I don't have time for that. It's like, well, I'm lazy anyway. Let's capitalize on this.
Although I think something that really helps in that situation too is to have like someone really awesome to confide in. Like I know when I'm feeling that way, I'm like so lucky, obviously I have you, that I can be like, okay, it's a rough day today. I need to talk this out. And you're an ear for me and it's perfect. And then it helps me to just start moving past it.
Yeah. And I think that if you have someone that you can talk with, and if you don't, journaling is great to just maybe figure out why you're feeling that way. Like sometimes we just feel low energy and we need a day off. We need a day in bed.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is related to something that you're going through and you want to talk it through. And I know when I'm talking things through and when you are talking things through and we use each other, we're like each other's coaches. We're always looking for what mindset do I have right now that's causing this negative feeling, because thoughts create our emotions. But sometimes we're so used to thinking certain thoughts that we almost don't notice that we're thinking in that way until you're talking it out loud. And I know for me, I'll say something and you'll be like, oh, I would have looked at it in this way. Or, oh, you
That happens often.
It does. And I'm like, oh yeah, there is another way of looking at this. Like, I don't have to be choosing these thoughts and making these emotions.
Yeah. And I think in the past, we've talked a lot about like having a gratitude journal, but sometimes it's also important to do a brain dump and just lay it all out, especially if you don't have that person at that moment to call up or to go see, right? To just write it down, like all those negative thoughts you're having, just put them all on paper. It just helps to clear your mind and to maybe move up the emotional scale, right?
Yeah. Totally. I know that when I do a brain dump, basically the idea is you just write without filtering at all. You just write and write and write. And then sometimes something will come out and I'm like, oh, I'm looking at it like that. Or like, oh, that's how I'm feeling. Like I surprise myself.
Yeah. Or you go back to reread it. I know that for me. And then it's like, as I'm rereading it, I'm like, whoa, like that came out. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Or as you're reading it, you can see yourself spiraling and you can almost like giggle at it and be like, okay, that's where my brain is going. Like my brain is going to like crazy places and it's almost laughable. And as we see that those are our thoughts, we can choose better thoughts. We can choose a new perspective.
And it's normal for our brains to want to be so negative like that, right?
Yeah.
So
for some reason, I think a lot of us think that like we shouldn't ever be negative. That's just not how our brain is created. Our brain helped us to survive and to
notice all of the scary things that are happening around us, right? To protect us.
Exactly. So our brain really is always looking for something wrong.
Which brings us back to the compassion piece. Like, be compassionate with yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. So, Jo, how can we use this knowledge of the emotional scale with the kids in our lives?
I think a lot of the stuff that we just talked about, like teaching them that it's not possible to go from, depression or fear to joy, and that we can work through it one step at a time. And maybe we actually have the scale somewhere visual where we can show them how it works, and then that they know that when they are in that state that they can only move 1 or 2 steps at a time. So what can you do right now to feel better?
Yeah, I think that's great to ask the children in your life, the kids in your life, the teens in your life, the younger people in your life, and the adults in your life. Like, okay, well, what's something that we can do right now to make you feel a little bit better? And empowering those people to figure it out for themselves. I think a lot of times when a child is in the middle of a meltdown, it's like you want to just tell them like, don't feel that way.
Yeah,
like,
or you're trying to distract them, or like, let's go do this instead or whatever. But they need to have that meltdown right now because that's the emotion that they're in, right?
Exactly. And why not teach them the skill of recognizing, okay, this is where you are. How can we move along the emotional scale?
And that'll really help them develop their self-awareness as well.
Exactly.
So, which is great.
Yeah. And help them to problem solve for themselves. We want to raise kids that are emotionally aware and able to do this as they grow. So
yeah, I think it's just a habit with kids, especially. You have to just practice it over and over and over again so that they just know to do it eventually.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that we've done too. Like I used to get so down on myself when I was feeling bad. I was like, come on, Kaylee, get out of it. Like, just like trying to motivate myself. Like just get out of bed. And then, now I over time with practice, we have, this whole toolkit of different things we can use, but understanding this emotional scale really helped me to know that I don't have to get there right away. And maybe I don't get all the way to joy at all today. That's okay. Tomorrow's another day. So we have an awesome resource for you. Josiane made a beautiful PDF of the emotional scale in our free resources section. So if you would like to check it out, maybe just to visually see what these emotions are on the scale, and maybe to print it and put it up somewhere visual for yourself and the kids in your life, then go to educalm.com/the balanced educator. That's EDUCALME/the balanced educator. Now, once you get in there, you have access to all the free resources that we ever make. So
there's quite a few in there.
Yeah. So think of it as a library that you can always come back to. Now, if you've already enrolled in the Balanced Educator, and you forget how to get there, just go to educalm.com/the balanced educator. And then when you click on the button, it'll say you're already enrolled in this course, or it'll give you the option to enroll or to log in to the course. So educalm.com/the balanced educator. All right. So Joe, what are we up to this week at Educalm?
We are starting our live Educalm teacher course.
I'm so excited. That's happening this evening. So excited to meet everyone and to start working through these mindful strategies that are going to set everyone up to have the best school year yet.
It's going to be great.
So good. What else?
And we are also reading applications for the Educalm Teacher Ambassador Program, and you guys can still apply if that interests you. You can go to www.educalm.com/ambassador, and you'll find all of the details about the program there. Do you want to say a couple things about it?
Sure. So our whole plan with our ambassador program is to bring in like-minded teachers that are really excited about practicing mindfulness in their classroom, and maybe they haven't started yet because they have some sort of obstacle. So we want to help you to overcome those obstacles. And as you are using Educalm Classroom this year in your class, we're also going to get your feedback. That's going to help us to improve Educalm Classroom. And yeah, it's going to be a really fun collaboration because we'll be there to support you along the way and learn from your experiences.
And speaking of Educalm Classroom, we are also currently brainstorming a mindful movement module, which is going to be so fun.
Yeah, that one's going to be great. We've had this in mind for so long, and now we're feeling a little more comfortable with videos. So it'll be fun to get that in there.
Yeah, and some of our clients have asked us for it, so we're excited to do that.
Yeah.
And that's about that.
Yeah.
We're going to enjoy this weather.
It's gorgeous summertime weather, so it's going to be a great week. And we hope that you have a wonderful week too. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. And we will see you again next week, or I guess hear you, or you'll hear us again next week on the Balanced Educator Podcast.
Talk to you soon.
Hey there, Balanced Educator. We appreciate you and the work that you're doing in the world. We are here to support you, so we've created a free resource library for you to use anytime you want. Resources for mindfulness for you and your kiddos at home or in the classroom. You can get these free resources by going to www.educalm.com/the balanced educator. Again, that's www.educalm, that's spelled EDUCALME.com/the balanced educator. Thank you for being a part of our Educalm community.